And then we open the floor for anyone in the room to ask either one of you any question that they may want to send your way. And for the introduction part, please use the podium. When we go to the Q&A, you'll both be standing free soldiers here. So take it away, Jason.
All righty, so I'm defending the status quo, which is what we currently have here in California, which is the California Citizens Redistricting Committee. How many people are familiar with that? We passed that back in 2008, and it basically said, you know, we're tired of the politicians drawing their own political lines and protecting themselves, and you know, it's politicians choosing politicians versus the people choosing politicians. We passed that, I think, about 60% in the favor. And it's been a relative success, not just here in California, but it's kind of been viewed around the country as a way to get the partisanship out of the drawing of these political lines. So that's kind of currently what we have now. I think on the committee, there's 14 people. There's 5 folks that are Republicans, 5 folks that are Democrats, and then there's 4 that are neither of the parties. And one of the big rules to remember as I kind of go through my speech here is one thing they cannot do under state law, which will be relaxed if folks vote yes on 50, is they cannot consider political parties when they're choosing how they're going to find communities of interest that they're going to put in specific congressional districts. So, that's sort of the background. But first I'm going to say, how many people here from their civics class back in 11th grade, back when I know they taught civics, I don't know if they do anymore, but they did back then. How many people are in favor of gerrymandering? How many people are like, go gerrymandering? Is there anybody here who's like, yeah, I love it. I love gerrymandering. Is there anybody here who thinks that's a good thing? Because it's important, because our council person just came up here and said, we have to vote our values. She said that, okay? Vote our values, right? How many people think or grew up thinking, maybe you were in church or your parents told you or somebody said, 2 wrongs make a right. Remember that. 2 wrongs make a right sometimes if I tell you so. Did anybody remember that? Is anybody in favor of that? How's this one? In order to save free elections and democracy and republic, first, we must get rid of it. Anybody ever hear that? I think it might have been on Monty Python at some point in time where somebody might have said something like, you know, in order to save those free elections, let's get rid of them first. But only temporarily. We'll bring them back. I promise. Right? So like, we're supposed to be, voting our values. I mean, those don't seem like typical, not just California values, but even American values. So what's happened? What happened is Texas decided to make a decision, as I understand it. I was researching the props this morning, and they said, they're going to gerrymander. That's the traditional thinking, is they're going to gerrymander. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to gerrymander as well, because it's become a fight now over congressional and U.S. elections that now California is supposed to participate. We're all supposed to participate and be a shit in this bigger game. We're going to be a pawn. People of California are going to be a pawn in this game for a bigger game going on at the national level. And so I looked at 2 things. Number one, I said, who's funding this yes on 50 proposition? And I looked it up just today. Who are the big funders behind it? And I wrote it down. I got my glasses here. HMP for Prop 50, $10 million out of Washington, D.C. Fund for Policy Reform, $10 million out of New York City. National Education Association, $3 million out of D.C. It's funded by folks that aren't even here in California. We're being used, okay? We're being used as part of another game. I say, if we're worried about what's going on in Texas, and I don't think what they're doing in Texas is right. I don't think it's righteous. I think it's wrong. It's just gerrymandering, right? But it's the other. I don't have situational ethics. I don't say it's bad here, but it's good there, or vice versa. It's just bad in both places. But you know what? I don't vote in Texas. Neither do you. We can't fix Texas. Do you know who has to fix Texas? Drum roll. Texans. Texans have to stand up and fix Texas. Okay, so a lot of this money I see going out of state, coming into California, why don't they take that money and actually go to Texas? and try to convince people here of what they're doing is bad. I just don't understand it. Because this doesn't come without a cost. There's a cost here. How much is the cost? $200 to $300 million of our taxpayer money is being used to put this on the ballot. Do you know what that $200 to $300 million could have been spent on for good things for people in California? It's incredibly wasteful, and I just don't think that should be reflective of our values. And it was passed during what they call a gut and amend process, which is 4 days of public review. So the public got to see all these maps and everything that came out of them. 4 days of public review. Do you know what the typical bill takes in California legislature to pass? 30 days of review. So the public can see it and comment on it. This was done and drawn by, do you know who drew the maps? I looked it up. It's public information. Who drew the maps? Lines and drawn by the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. So, in close, I just think, once again, we're going to vote our values, and I hope to God the values of the people of the state of California are no on Prop 50. And remember, just because they tell you it's temporary, it's going through 3 election cycles. If it was temporary, it'd be 1 election cycle. And I always reminded by something that, I think it was Milton Friedman who said this first, and it was stolen by other people, but he said, remember, there is nothing more permanent in society than a temporary government program, okay? This has been written by politicians, for politicians, and they're not hiding it. It's a hyper-partisan game that they're playing here to suppress voter choice, suppress voters' voices, undermining the trust of our institutions, and feeding the cynicism of which we have too much today already. So please, please do the right thing and vote no on Prop 50.
Thank you, Jason. And now we'll hear from Councilwoman Clarrisa Cervantes, who's going to give her opinion on why you should consider voting yes on Prop 50.
Give us 1 second. We have another PowerPoint, but I think we're going to see if it's going to come up. Just a second. I don't want to start my timer and waste a minute. Yeah, no, you're good. Oh, thank you. These are loud. These are effective. Yeah, I was wondering where that noise was coming from. Okay, I thought someone's phone was ringing. All right, let me know. Oh no, the timer's gone down there. Sorry. Oh, everything's, oh no, Brian, I think we lost feed. Might have been that. Yeah. If it's on one thing, it's another. I could do this. That's good. This is good. We could do this. That's fine, Brian. I'll just use this. Thank you. Sorry, I know you'll get you running all over the place. Oh, shit's back. Is this back? We're back. We're going to get, yeah. Okay. And let's do this. We're ready to go. Can I give this back to you? Sorry about that. Okay, folks. And I think we lost the timer at the bottom there, but if someone wants to time me on their phone, or I could do this one. You got one? Okay, thank you so much. You just give me like a 2-minute warning if you can. I appreciate that. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. I'm here. Oh, we lost the PowerPoint. It's okay. I'll get started and we'll get the slides going. So I'm here today. I'm going to speak in and share personally, again, that this is my position. I don't speak on behalf of the City Council. I don't speak on behalf of the City of Riverside. As an individual, though, council member and voter myself, I do support Prop 50, and I will share with you here not to know why. Just to give a little context and a roadmap of how we got here. So to share, the timeline was in August of this year where President Donald Trump publicly, you can Google it, stated that he wanted Texas to create 5 new maps. And that is exactly what Texas did. The governor issued the state legislature in Texas to move forward with drawing and creating those maps that were clearly going to favor and create 5 new Republican seats. And that is specifically what President Trump asked for, was 5 Republican seats to keep him the majority that he needed in the House to ensure that he can maintain moving forward with initiatives that he has been doing since he's been elected to office. So after that happened, they moved forward with drawing the maps that lean Republican, but they are very strongly favoring Republican. They actually drew out a number of congressional members out, Democrat members out of their own districts that are currently elected in Texas, such as Jasmine Crockett. You may see her on the news. She's been making good headways, but just want to share, those are just some examples. And Texas didn't send this to their voters to ask them, do you support us doing this? They just did it. So they moved forward with passing that in their state legislature. They again silenced many of the community outcry that happened. People were not even able to give in, weigh in, input into this. And they were passed, and now they are being challenged at the court level. So what we're going to see is that they're currently being challenged by civil rights groups for alleging racial discrimination and racial gerrymandering. A 3-judge federal panel will hear the arguments in October of this year and is expected to rule soon. It is widely anticipated that the decision will be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. So what happened in response to that? California responded. Given that we are the 4th largest economy in the world, we contribute, and we are actually the ones who are feeding and giving and sustaining many of our other states across the United States of America. So, of course, California, I will say I'm grateful that our leadership did decide to say, hold on a second, if you're going to make these new maps, keep in mind, we're equally, big size as Texas, but again, what we contribute in terms of GDP is unsurmountable. So I think California was fair to say, well, if you're going to want to send 5 new Republican electeds to represent us in Congress, we deserve to have the same opportunity to balance the scales. California didn't say we're going to make 10 new mayor seats. They didn't say 6 or 7. They said 5 to match it and to level the playing field. And on top of that, what they didn't do is they didn't just vote. We'll say that our state legislature heard the item. They had to make decisions very quickly. But in addition to that, what was decided and compromised by our legislatures was we aren't going to do what Texas did, and we aren't going to just direct and tell California, whether you like it or not, we're going to do this. We're actually giving you the power to decide. California, you decide if you want us to move forward and essentially fight fire with fire. Unfortunately, what we are seeing right now, and this might make some people uncomfortable, some may not agree, but we are truly living in a fascist USA. This is not normal. This is not normal for a president to say, draw and create new maps, in my opinion. And again, and this is also what scholars, academia, people, lawyers, attorneys are saying, is that this is not democracy. And so while I hear Jason and saying, I agree, I am not a fan of gerrymandering. I don't think many of us are, when we understand and know the premise and the history of gerrymandering and how it has for a long time not been something that has been favorable or helpful to communities, specifically communities who haven't had fair representation. I probably don't even need a mic. You could, Brian, I could switch to this. Yeah. I'm starting to compete with the sound off noise. So what ended up happening was our legislature moved forward to take a vote on August 21st, and it passed for us to put Prop 50 on the ballot and to send this out for a statewide special election, which is happening now on November 4th. What are important takeaways? So what I was just saying, Prop 50, this is the Election Rigging Response Act. It's America's best hope to preserve our democracy and, truthfully, future elections. By passing Prop 50, we can protect our democracy across the U.S. and give Americans a fighting chance at fair representation in 2026 and in 2030. If the Trump administration is going to drop 5 new seats, California will do the same. We will level the playing field as the 4th largest economy in the world, and we have every right to fight back and stand up for California and our fair representation in Congress. I want to remind folks too, these new maps are temporary. Thank you. After 2030, we will go back to the regular maps drawn by the census and the Independent Redistricting Commission. So again, while I understand he said, why are we going to wait till elections? Well, in 2026, right, we're going to have this presidential. And again, the goal would be to be able to see, thank you, that come 2030, we have to make sure we maintain and hold that for the next presidency. Otherwise, we are hearing, we don't know if there will be. There's comments Trump is talking about and has publicly said and has hats out that he's selling about running again. But we all know you could only serve 2 terms as president. So are you rightfully saying you are going to violate the Constitution again and that you are going to force a 3rd term on us? So I just want to share that there are many things being stated openly and publicly that are prompting again California to respond because, as it's being said, it's not business as usual. This is nothing that we've seen in our time as in America. So I want to share here the last steps are: step 1, check if you're registered to vote. Step 2, check your mailbox. Show of hands, are you registered to vote? All right. Okay, check your mailbox because your ballot should have already arrived. Do your independent research, learning the facts about Prop 50, and then make your own choice on how to vote. Step 4, vote, sign the ballot. Just make sure it's your official signature, otherwise it could be rejected. Place it in the mailbox for free or drop it off at a polling location on Election Day, November 4th. And lastly, I will share that Jason highlighted some opposition funders. I want to share Congressional Leadership Fund, a Republican super PAC out of DC, is one of the largest contributors on the No campaign, spending $5 million. You have Charles Munger, who's the largest donor that is investing he has contributed over $32 million to oppose this measure. As Kevin McCarthy, the former Republican House Speaker, has contributed $1 million from his congressional campaign. So while there's comments about who's investing into this, same thing is happening from DC side. They are spending just as much on the No campaign that we are seeing invest in the Yes campaign. But I will say the Yes campaign in California is back to teachers, care workers, individuals like you and me want to make sure we have a democratic future. Thank you.
Stay up there.
Sorry, wait, can I put like 2 extra seconds?
Okay, just stay up there, and Jason, if you come up, I'm going to give you our speaker.
Thank you, Sam. That won't work.
Mine have always worked together, wasn't on. Okay, and if this is too loud, back. No. Okay, but I don't have one now. I have the one with the big fat finger, doesn't work. Can I use yours?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna open it up for questions. I see 3, 4 in a row, so those are the ones I'm gonna go to. Look around, see if you want me to go to the right people. Because I know it's 1, 2, and after that I forget. Ask your question directly to the person you want. And Jason, should they work with so we can just give them the microphone? I'd like to do one else.
No, I was like, hello. No, I think for the second portion, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What's going on? Thank you so much. Okay, I think I just want to emphasize that the difference between California and Texas again, Texas didn't set a year bar on how these maps are going to affect their state, but also how it would affect the nation. We did. We said again that this is a temporary item for us to be able to preserve our democracy. And California, and to be sure, we're not going to probably be the only ones. We're seeing other states now move as well to potentially, because now with California doing this, what has that prompted? Trump to now tell other Republican governors, now I need you to move. And now other states are having discussions. So it is a domino effect. And I think we show that we are actually willing to be more fair with having that nonpartisan clause to come back in 2030.
Thank you.
This is the vote. I believe that the redistricting commission was a change to the Constitution of California, correct? So how is a constitutional amendment being able to be overridden by 50% of the vote? But a constitutional amendment doesn't take a supermajority to amend the Constitution.
No, you basically pass another constitutional amendment, right? Which amends the original constitutional amendment. That's it. That's why it's going to the voters. That's why the legislature couldn't do it. Yes.
Clarrisa?
I'll just add to, I think the questions are like running together for me. What was the last part of your question?
Oh, Mike, I think where you might be confused, actually, I think we can handle this. I believe it's 2/3 of the legislature has to vote on it to put it in front of the voters. That's where you're thinking 2/3. But it's only a 50% vote once it gets in front of the direct audience, I believe.
No, it's not. Yeah. My comment, I apologize, I was like, wait, I was just going to say, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, so I didn't want to get into the specifics of the legalities of how, but I will say there were a lot of attorneys and there was a lot of vetting to ensure that legally we could bring this forward and it ended up getting clear that we could do this process.
Louis?
Yeah, I just had a couple of things. One is there's a difference between California and Texas. California is required to register by party when you register to vote. Texas does not. 19 states do not require you, do not ask for how you register by party to vote, which means that in Texas, they have to use a bunch of sophisticated algorithms in order to do this redistricting in their favor, and it might not work. In California, we know exactly how everybody's registered to vote. We need to wipe that out. The other thing this proves to me, both Texas and California, is that neither party wants a fair election, period. And we, the people, need to wake up and get very angry about that and say we're not going to put up with it anymore and start electing people that are not one of these two parties that are destroying our democracy right in front of us right now. $280 million just to vote on something so silly and ridiculous as this, claiming that we have to do this because Texas is doing that, and then if Illinois does it, then what, we got to come back and do it again because Illinois did it or Missouri does it? That's ridiculous. Yes, it's time to wake up and start electing people that are not part of the party.
We have a question in the back of the room, Lavinia, and then it is 8:30. I'll open it up for some statements after Lavinia's question.
Okay, this is a question for a friend. So currently Republicans have 18% representation for 40 voters. So if Prop 50 passes, we will have 4% for Republicans. Is this equitable?
Well, I mean, I think it's obviously the answer. That's a loaded question, right? It's no. I just say, hey, there's an old saying where I grew up, which is like, how do you win a race to the bottom? It seems like we're in a race to the bottom. Texas is doing it. California's going to do it. Now these other states are going to do it. And other people are going to follow, right? Whatever happened to the old saying? And this was popular at one point in time in the Democratic Party. When they go low, we go high. Now it's when they go low, we go low, right? Something's changed fundamentally there. The only way you win a race to the bottom is to not compete. It's the only way. You basically mimic what your opponent's doing. You go. You're lowering yourself. Just let somebody do it. Well, I don't think the answer is you let somebody do it. It is up to the people of the state of Texas to decide how their elections run and how they govern their state. It is not up to us.
Well, just I'll add closing to that, there's comments about, how people can be registered to vote or whatnot in Texas. The lines were very clearly drawn. And again, if you look at the numbers and if they're able to see demographics, you're able to see that if there's a large population of Black voters here, you have an elected member that won, predominantly and had a landslide election. Now you're carving all those people out of that district to not be able to vote, and that person doesn't live there anymore. We know that that is, again, racial gerrymandering. And that is what Texas specifically intentionally did to be able to get the power grab of 5 Republican seats. And so I will just lastly add that, again, California is doing California could have done what Texas did, where we didn't send it to the voters. But instead, we are giving the power. We're still holding and preserving our portions of democracy to ensure that you make the decision. And that's why I'm here today to remind you is you make a decision. Despite what we both have shared here today, go home, do your research, and look again at who is backing and who is funding these propositions. See where your values align with who is behind these items. But at the end of the day, if we want future elections, I personally believe that this is what California had to do so we have a future of fair elections in the United States.
I'm going to open it for comments. If anyone has a comment, raise your hand so I know to bring in the microphone. If there's no comments, then I'm going to say our meeting has closed. And thank you all.
Thank you.